Hello YouTube Pipe community, OTC Piper here. Thought I'd bring a little change of scenery today. It's been raining off and on. It cleared out a little bit, but I got a nice oak tree here providing some shade and cool breeze, so figured I'd take advantage of it. This is going to be my VR for Patriot Piper's 100 sub giveaway. And he asked some very intriguing questions that haven't been some of them haven't been asked, one of them being favorite old movie, which that's something that I would like to discuss. Let me light up my pipe here. I left my tamper in the house, so I shall use an oak twig that I just now collected. There's a good job. Breeze got that one. Gonna get this going. Okay. So he asked for favorite old movie, sub 2000, or prior to 2000. He said his favorite was Tombstone. And I've got some talking points set up here because we share the same favorite movie, Tombstone. I like that movie. As a history buff, while I like the movie and it is great and entertaining, there are some historical inaccuracies about the movie. It doesn't take away from the cinematic experience. There are some other very great historically inaccurate movies. And I'll say, paired with that is the subsequent Kevin Costner's Wyatt Earp, which is also a great movie on the topic of Tombstone and the Earp brothers. And it has its own historical inaccuracies as well. The main, thing about Tombstone that makes it what it is Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday. Very likable character. And they did a good job with that. For the sake of the movie, I don't, and this is where I may lose some friends, I hope not, but I don't particularly believe that the Val Kilmer character is truly representative of the original, of the true Wyatt Earp. Correction. Doc Holliday. Sorry. He was likable, and I think the real Doc Holliday wouldn't have been quite as likable as Val Kilmer's character. I believe that in Wyatt Earp's Doc Holliday, Dennis Quaid probably played a truer representation of the personality of Doc Holliday. And he had some likable characteristics. He was a little bit more gruff, a little bit more aggressive. And I just think that's, at that time, the way Doc Holliday would have been. With his illness, not being able to practice medicine or dentistry, going to the life of a gambler and a gun hand. And an interesting thing that I found out years ago that kind of ties my stomping grounds in with Doc Holliday is prior to him leaving his practice, he, for about a year, had a practice on Pearl Street, right down the road in Dallas, Texas. And I didn't know that, and I was studying some Old West history, found that out, and thought that was very interesting. So, I know a lot of people that like Tombstone like it because of Doc Holliday. Don't want to anger anybody too much, but I definitely like the character myself. from the historical standpoint, I see more accuracy in Dennis Quaid, and they're both great. So if you haven't checked out the Kevin Costner's Wyatt Earp, I'd highly recommend checking that out as well. And in the time of the disputes, and this is where we kind of go between the two of them, the two movies. I'm gonna get a new light. It's kind of breezy. I'm going to grab for a Bic. During the time of the dispute with the cowboy faction, Virgil had a more active role in the law enforcement there in Tombstone. And I believe that was captured most accurately in the movie Tombstone. In the movie Wyatt Earp, it was Wyatt Earp that was kind of leading the way there, which was not as I believe it to have been based on what I know from the history of that time. Let me look through my notes here. Okay, in the one thing I'll say about Tombstone is Kurt Russell, I believe, did a more accurate Wyatt Earp than I believe Kevin Costner did. And Kevin Costner's among my favorites, as actors. I just believe in the movie. I'm going to have to throw the historical accuracy to Kurt Russell on that, and the way his role played out in that movie. The one thing that was also more accurate in the movie Tombstone was the shootout between Wyatt Earp and Curly Bill in the river there, the way it showed them. And unless I'm mistaken, I don't believe that Wyatt Earp, the movie Wyatt Earp, showed it that way. And that has been historically, verified from the accounts, from that time. So that's another thing. I didn't have that in my notes, but I just remembered that fact. One thing I like about the movie Wyatt Earp is it had more of Wyatt Earp's background, his troubled past. And in those days, there was a little bit, or maybe a lot, of outlaw blood in the law enforcement officers of the time, if you call them that, the sheriffs and marshals and whatnot. Because they just had the brash attitude to do it had been done in the lawlessness that was in the territories there at the time. And another notable mention is the addition of the character of Wyatt Earp's father, Nicholas Porter Earp, played by Gene Hackman, another great actor. That part was it wasn't a big part in the movie. It recurred a few times. I believe Gene Hackman did a wonderful job in that role. So that was a great addition on that part. But I just kind of A-B'd the two movies. So I'll say they're both great, and they're both in my top tier. They're both double slotted in my list of favorites. So that was a big part of what I wanted to talk about and dissect. The next thing he asked for was smoking ritual. And there's a lot of, I'm usually, when I can, I have a pipe going, working outside, sitting in my, little smoking area in my pipe nook reading. One of the things, there's some things I do as far as there's certain blends that I don't do while I'm out working or something like that. My nicer tins and all that, I do those for special occasions. But one of the specific things that I set up was in my little pipe nook where my reading books are and everything, is I don't allow the distraction of devices. which means I'm not going to sit and play a game on my smartphone or watch Netflix or something like that. I can do that anywhere. That pipe nook, my pipe nook time is the time that I smoke my pipe and reflect, read, and better myself in some way. So that's my thing. Favorite blend type is exactly what I'm smoking now. Burley blend. I like the Burleys. This is my Sir Walter Raleigh original, and one of my favorite pipes. I have two favorite pipes. They're two. I mean, I like all the different styles of pipes: briar pipes, corn cobs, meerschaum, clay pipe. I don't have any clay pipes at the time. Been meaning to get some, but they all had their quirks and their various this, that's, and the others. Um, in my rotation now is mostly, it's going to be my briars and my cobs. Coming around to this shape, Missouri Meerschaum cob and a gray bow are probably my top favorites right now. This is a gray bow Crown Duke that I had it's an estate pipe. It's doing a wonderful job. I used to be full bent all the way, and I am kind of coming around to the small little straight bent, straight poker style pipes. Missouri Meerschaum makes a lot of great corn cobs. I mean, of course, they're we all know they're the top as far as that goes. And my favorite among them is going to be the Country Gentleman. I do prefer that one to be the bent. It's not really it's not really an aggressive bend anyways, it's more of a half bent. Those are the two that I have right now. I wouldn't mind the straight pipes. In the Country Gentleman, I've always had the bent. And some people in the pipe world may consider them to be throwaway pipes. I can see some of the more cheaper ones being, get what you can out of them. But I've got a Country Gentleman that, I've had going consistently for over a year now, and I love it. So that's my pipe types, and I think that's all 4 things that were required for the VR. So with that, I'll just offer my congratulations to Patriot Piper for hitting this 100 sub mark. You do great content, and I look forward to your videos when they come up. With that, I'll sign off. OTC Piper, wishing everybody all the best. Good times and warm pipe.